StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show. You learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unified philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to keep moving. Before we get into this, I remind you all of two things. First of all, my daily motivation and Monday motivation message is guaranteed to have you focused, sharp, and on point to start your day. These are guaranteed to day or your week. As again, they're going to do exactly what I say they're going to do. As soon as we start sending that message out again, you want to be already on a list. So you don't have to do anything. So you're already ready. So you don't have to get ready. Just text me at my number 305-384-6894. Once those messages start going out again, you'll be getting them straight to your phone. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. If you are a top level performer, or you have a team of top level performers, or you have a team of people you want to become top level performers, or you would like to become a top level performer, I am looking for you. You're the type of person I want to work with. I want to work with high level people who are already going high level and they want to go to a higher level. And those of you who are looking to get there, those of you who are ambitious about getting there, you're the people who I'm looking for. That's why we have Work on Your Game University, where we focus on high level performance done consistently to produce results. We are in a results-based business. If you're the type of person who wants to do better in that business, no other business, but that business, regardless of what industry you're in, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That out the way, let's get into the topic, which is how to keep moving. Now, this episode was actually sparked by an observation that I made. Most of you know that I live in Miami, Florida, and there is water everywhere in Miami. We are actually literally surrounded by water. The city of Miami and Miami Beach, and I believe they call it an archipelago, is surrounded by water. There's water everywhere. I can see Biscayne Bay out of my window where I'm recording right now. And I noticed when I was taking a walk, an evening walk with my son near Biscayne Bay, I noticed in the port of Miami, that there were 3 cruise boats parked in the port. And this is probably about 6 or 7 p.m. on a particular day. I believe it was a Sunday, the day that I saw this. Now, this is a rare occurrence to see 3 cruise boats parked there. Now, the port of Miami, from what I hear, I believe it's the largest port for cruise boats in the United States. I believe that's what I heard, that it's the largest port and the size is based on how many boats can be parked there all at the same time. I think you could probably park maybe 7 or 8 cruise boats in the port of Miami right now. I could see them right now if there were any there. There are none there right now. And that's why what I'm bringing up is a rare occurrence. These boats, usually what they do, and when I saw the 3 of them parked there, that's when I thought of this. What usually happens, the boats come into the port, they dump off the previous passengers, then they pick up the next wave of passengers and they go right back out. The boats never just sit there. Those boats don't just sit there overnight, almost never. And the fact that they keep moving, they come in, dump, and pick up, and they go right back out to another cruise. The fact that they keep moving like this is one of the reasons why the cruise boat industry does such brisk and consistent business, because they are always moving. They do not tolerate idle time. So what I'm going to talk about here today, with that in mind, the inspiration, for lack of a better term, for what I got from seeing those cruise boats and realizing that they're never sitting there like that. The only time I see multiple cruise boats sitting there at once is on a Saturday or a Sunday morning, which is usually when people get on the boat, and then the boat goes out and it might be gone for 5, 6, 7, 10 days before it comes back in. So let's get into how you can keep moving like these cruise boats in your life and in your business. Number 1, topic once again is how to keep moving. Emphasis on result producing behavior. Emphasis on result producing behavior. So first of all, what is the result? What is the result that you would like to produce on a consistent basis? What's the high level result you want to produce on a consistent basis? Understand I said result, not a means toward the result, a result itself. So if you're a salesperson, the result is not having a conversation. The result is closing a sale. Now, yes, you need to have a conversation to close a sale. The result is closing a sale. So the cruise boats and you need to you need to put an emphasis on result producing behavior. What behaviors produce the results? For the cruise boats, this means actually going on cruises. Because once that boat leaves the port and it goes, that usually is because, actually almost always is because, a bunch of people paid to be on that boat. And now they are delivering what they already collected the money for. Cruise boats collect their money up front. You pay for the cruise in November, and then you go on the cruise in February. all right, whatever the situation is. So that's what people are paying for. So now they're doing what we call the deliverable in business. That's when you have to give people something after they pay for it. So if the boat isn't doing that, taking people on cruises, well, guess what? Nothing else they do matters. I mean, it doesn't matter that the boat looks good. It doesn't matter that you got a drone picture of the top of the boat. It doesn't matter that people are driving by and taking little videos and seeing the boats and talking about them. Does any of that matter? Doesn't matter if you posted on Instagram 3 times yesterday. Does any of that matter if the boat is not selling cruises, if the company's not selling cruises and filling that boat and actually going out and doing cruises? Doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. The Carnival Cruise Line, Norwegian Cruise Line, Cruise Lines, Virgin Cruise Lines, these are all boats that I see here in Miami. They are all in the business of selling tickets to you to take you on a cruise on that boat. That's the business that they're in. Selling tickets to the cruise. That is the bottom line business. Everything else is a means to the end of selling tickets for those cruises. So the main focus of their business is doing the things that lead to people buying tickets. That's the business. Everything they do is leading to people buying those tickets. This is the most important concept you need to understand. When it comes to creating momentum and keeping yourself moving in life and in business, what is it that produces the most important result for you? So first of all, what is the most important result? And secondly, what activity or activities lead to that result? And you need to narrow down your focus to doing as much of those activities as possible and as little as everything else as possible. Doesn't mean other things don't get to happen, but doesn't mean you got to do it. Somebody else or something else can do it. Technology is doing a lot of things these days. Technology is replacing people at an alarming pace right now. So you can get some technology even if you don't have a person. You need to be focused on doing as much of those things as possible. Your thoughts should be focused on how to do better or more of those things in a more efficient way. The things that actually produce the results. So Virgin or Norwegian Cruise Lines knows that selling tickets to their cruises is based on making sure that they're sending a certain amount of emails out, or they're doing promotions, or they're doing some cross promotion with some other company, let's say a luxury car company, to sell more cruises. Well, they need to focus on doing that as well as they possibly can, and doing it as effectively and efficiently as possible, because the more of that they do, the more tickets they sell. They can draw that conclusion, they can make that connection. They should be focused on that all day, every day. You need a whole department of people whose only job is doing more of it. You need to think of your business the exact same way. The most successful people have their minds conditioned to focus on the things that produce results, not the things that produce production, the things that produce results. Production and results are not the same thing. Production means you produce something. Result means you produce the end goal. I can produce an episode of this show, but producing an episode of the show does not directly make me any money unless somebody just bought out the rights of this show and said, all right, Dre, every time you publish an episode, we're going to pay you $1,000. Then if I just wanted $1,000, I would just produce as many episodes as possible. Then that would be part of the result, if that's what I wanted. But that's not the way it works. I can produce episodes of this show, but is this the bottom line result of what I want in my business? No, because I don't get paid for recording an episode of the show. There are ways that I make money indirectly from doing it, which is why I keep doing it. But this is not the end result thing. End result thing is I want to be talking to people who have the capability and the willingness to give me money for some product or service that I'm offering. That's the business. That's what I need to be focused on. Doesn't mean I don't do other things, but the focus is that thing. So what is the result for you, and how much are you focusing on it? That's the question. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to keep moving. Finish one activity, then go on to the next one. Finish one activity, then go on to the next activity. Just like the cruise boats. As soon as they dump the last group of passengers from the previous cruise, all they do is clean the boat out, maybe, and then they pick up the next group and go right back up. That's what they do. They clean out the boat. First of all, they get the old people off, clean out the boat, and they go right back up. They have a process for this. I don't even know that much about the cruise boat industry, but I bet that their process, anyone knows anything about the cruise industry can fill me in. I would bet that their process for cleaning out the boat from the last group and getting it ready for the next group is similar to, any of you watch race car, NASCAR driving, you see how they have a whole process for the pit stop, and how the pit stop is timed, and the people who work in the pit crew, they are timing, trying to change the tires and refuel the car and do everything they need to do for the driver in as little time as possible, so they can quickly turn it around and keep going so the driver can win the race. That's the same thing that the cruise boat companies do when it comes to turning over their boat from the last group to the next group, because they need to get that boat out there so that they can deliver to people what they already paid, what they already collected money for. All right, there's a process to that. I guarantee you there's a process for that. Even though I know nothing about it, I guarantee you there is one. All right, that's my point. And any of you knows the cruise industry, you can fill me in and let me know. Boats rarely sit in the port of Miami with nothing to do and nowhere to go. I never see a boat just sitting there for days doing nothing. All right, the only boat that I usually see every time that I go out there is usually I see the Norwegian boat sometimes coming back in or is going out. I don't know if it's coming in or going out often when I see it. So I'm usually outside in the evening, somewhere between 5 o'clock and 8 o'clock p.m. So I'll see the Norwegian boat either coming in or going out at that moment, like it's out in the water. These boats are huge. They're way bigger than they look. And unless you've been on one, then you know. I'll see the Virgin boat. The Virgin boat operates on a different type of schedule because I'll see the Virgin boat leaving the port in the evening. It'll be leaving around 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. All the other boats, they usually leave sometime in the morning or more in the daylight, in the middle of the afternoon. But the Virgin boat, they leave at a different time. So for whatever reason, Virgin just they move to the beat of a different drummer. But the point is, they're never just sitting there. I never see that boat just sitting there for days. Never. None of them. They come in and they go out. Again, if they sat there and did nothing, what does that mean? That means the stagnation of their business. The only time they're making money is when people are on the boat and the boat's going somewhere. Because if the boat was just going to sit there, what's the point of getting on the boat? I would generally think. I mean, maybe they could throw a party. You just get on the boat and then you get off and you don't go anywhere. But why do it on the boat if that's all you want to do? Again, this is just my logic. Maybe I don't know that much about the industry. I know I don't know that much about the industry. Maybe they do that sometimes, but it doesn't appear to be that way. I know of an event, actually a conference that happens on the Virgin boat. And the Virgin has this big cruise boat, but I believe the boat actually goes on a cruise while the conference is happening. That's what I think happens, which again, I believe is the whole point of it being on the boat, is that the boat's going to actually go somewhere. Because if it was just going to sit there, then have the conference in a hotel. Hotel doesn't move either. Anyway, if the boat just sat there and did nothing, that would mean the stagnation of their business. I walk past this port every day, and I notice, again, when I saw those 3 cruise ships sitting there, I said, I never see 3 cruise ships sitting there. It never happens. Because although there is space, or again, 6 or 7 of these boats that sit in the port of Miami, they are never there. They are never all there at the same time, and none of them sits there for very long. As soon as they come back, they get rid of the last group, they bring the next group on, and they go right back out there. Refuel the boat, and they go right back out there. They rarely sit there for more than a few hours before they're on to their next scheduled trip. And these are scheduled trips. You should notice that too. This momentum that I'm talking about here, folks, of how they keep moving and there's no stagnation and never just sitting there doing nothing, this is scheduled and planned. This is not random. Let me say that again. This momentum is scheduled and planned, not random. Did you catch that? I said it twice for a reason. This is a concept we've been talking about a lot around here about reducing idle time. It's because the boats reduce idle time because they have a plan to make sure there is no idle time. There's no idle time in their plan. Therefore, there's no idle time. All they got to do is execute on their own plan. Now, if you're trying to reduce idle time but you don't have a plan, well, the problem is you're going to idle at sometimes because you got to figure out what to do next because you don't have a plan. The time you spend figuring is idle time. See, the highest level professionals, they do the figuring up front so that when it's time to execute, they don't have to stop and think about anything. If you're stopping and thinking about things, you miss a step in your preparation. Are you following me? For these cruise boat companies, idle time means no money is being made. And that means they can't pay everybody. And you see how big these boats are? You know how many people work on these boats? All right, so if they're not making any money, they can't pay those people. All right, that's a problem. These are big businesses. They have lots of staff, and those staff members have bills to pay too, which means the businesses need to be turning over customers as consistently as possible. Turning over just means get the last customer off and get the new customer on so that everybody can stay afloat, no pun intended. They want to keep the whole business and all the employees afloat financially, so they got to keep bringing the money in. Same way that a restaurant wants to turn over tables. Any of you ever work in the food service industry? That's what they want to do. They want to seat people at the table, let them run up a bill, get them to pay the bill, get them off the table, clean the table off, put another group at the table, and do the same thing with them. They want to do it over and over and over and over again. Some restaurants these days are starting to put in time limits on how long you can sit at the table. And you ever been in a restaurant, you see some group, they're just sitting there the whole time. They just sit there and talk and drink wine. And as long as they're drinking wine, the restaurant is fine with it because you're drinking wine, you're spending money. But if people aren't spending any more money, but they're still sitting at the table, then the restaurant wants to get you the hell off of that table so that they can go make some money from that table because you are taking up space they can be making money with, and they're not making any money from you. You got to get the hell out. And restaurants, I would guess that over the next 5 to 10 years, most restaurants are going to have posted rules about this, that if you're not spending money, you got to get the hell off the table because we're not making any money. And I actually agree with that. I believe that that is fair Now, if I'm spending money and I'm buying drinks, then you don't care if I sit there because you're making money off those drinks. They make more money off drinks than they make off food. But if you ain't spending any money, all right, get the hell off my table so I can make some money here. I'm running a business. So anyway, they want to stay afloat, these businesses, no pun intended. And that's why they got to keep doing things. You, same thing. You want to stay afloat, right? And you want to go even higher. You want to rise. You want to have a rising tide. You don't want to stay afloat. You want to have a rising tide. Okay, you got to keep moving. When I say keep moving, it doesn't mean that you can't take a vacation or go to sleep. What I mean is the activity in your business is continuous. It doesn't mean you have to be continuous, but the activity in your business needs to be continuous. You and the business are separate. Business is an entity in and of itself. You need to have continuous momentum happening even when you are not doing the work yourself. Understand that this is all done as a system, folks, not a random action. It's done as a system, not a random action. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to keep moving. Consistent supporting behaviors. Consistent supporting behaviors. In addition to going on cruises and collecting money, guess what cruise boat companies do? They're also continually marketing and selling their cruises so that the next cruise is filled and paid for. All right, so they're trying to get people who haven't been on a cruise this year or in the last 6 months to come get on a cruise. All right, so what do they got to do? They got to market. They got to market and sell the cruises. The people don't, even though these boats are huge and they look beautiful from my vantage point. I've never been on a cruise myself. It's not like people will just randomly wander in there and say, hey, I just want to pay whatever it costs to go on a cruise. You got to sell the cruise. Even if you have something that you feel like, quote unquote, sells itself, it still must be sold. I have books that I give away for free. I give you a copy of The Third Day for free. Just go to thirddaybook.com. Just cover the shipping. I will physically send you a physical copy of the book for free. I still have to sell you the book, even though it's free. Even if you have something that sells itself, ladies and gentlemen, you still must sell it. The Miami Heat play not far from where I live. They have a big arena. Everybody drives by, walks by, takes pictures standing in front of it. I see them all the time. Guess what? The Miami Heat still had to sell tickets to the game. Yes, it's the Miami Heat. Everybody knows who they are. If you like basketball, and especially when the Heat were good, they still had to sell those tickets. They still had to sell them. Even though it may kind of speak for itself, it still must be sold. Okay, so cruise boat companies must continually market so they can keep the next cruise filled. And although what we see are the boats coming and going, the supporting behaviors are why the boats are always coming and going. If they didn't have any people on a boat, then the boat wouldn't be going back out. So I know that they're selling because I see the people on the boat. I can see the people standing on the dock, waving at the people standing on the side when their boat is going out. If there wasn't anybody doing the supporting behaviors, i.e. selling the cruises, then there would be no cruise. And those boats would get sold off somewhere because there's no business. So the supporting behaviors are the things that allow the boats to keep coming and going. So you see these pieces go together. So as we talked about the result producing activities, right? And point number 1, all the other activities happening in the business are supporting activities to the main result, such as following up with previous customers to get them to book their next cruise. Now, any of you who's ever been on a cruise, you've probably been on more than one cruise, right? Because you like the first cruise, so say, let's go on another cruise. So guess what? The company knows that. So after you buy the first cruise, they immediately put you in a process to sell you the next cruise. How many of you been on a cruise with the same company more than once? You think you did that just off your own volition? You probably think you did, but I guarantee you they helped you out. They helped you out by marketing and letting you know, hey, come do another one. You like that one? You might like this one. You like the cruise to Barbados, then you'll like the cruise to the Bahamas. You like the cruise to Puerto Rico, you'll like the cruise to Jamaica or wherever it is that you went. The whole point is they have a process for this. This is the reason why they can keep moving, because they have a process. This is not random. They're not geniuses. They just have a system. And everybody just operates their part of the system. Just like a factory, what do they call it? Assembly line for a car manufacturing. Everybody does their part, the car comes together. No one genius is doing it. It's each person doing their part. The system is the genius, not the people. And it should be the same way in your life and in your business. All the activities are supporting the main result. So you follow up the previous customers, get them to book their next one because they had a great time last time, right? And this involves marketing to new people. Like cruise boat companies should be marketing to me. Here I am talking about them, and I've never been on a cruise. I don't get much marketing material from these folks, but they should be marketing to me because I can afford to pay for a cruise, and I'm talking about the boats, and I live here in Miami. They might as well try to sell me a cruise. Even if I don't buy it, they should at least try. So any of you work for a cruise boat company, you need to get me on your marketing list. Maybe I'll buy a cruise. Probably not, but at least you should be trying. And there are people who've never been on a cruise like me who may be intrigued to do so when I find out how fun it could be, but I don't know if you don't tell me. If you don't tell me how great it is, and I won't know that it's great, and therefore I'll just keep looking at the boats from over here, but never actually getting on one. So it's about creating strategic partnerships also with other companies so that maybe some of those companies' customers will be interested in the cruise boats that the cruise company is offering. So for example, if I'm selling for the cruise boat, I might go reach out to someone who sells Lexus automobiles or BMWs and say, hey, why don't you pass me all your BMW and Lexus customers, and I'll try to sell them a cruise, and I'll pass you some of our cruise companies, and you try to sell them a car. Right? Because people who are spending money on this might spend money on that. Right? So these are ways that you can think strategically in business. Now, the process for actually doing the connections and making it work is a whole different story. But that's the reason why we had a university, so we can teach you how to do this stuff. This is the way you need to have your situation structured. And I want you all to understand that these things that I'm bringing up, folks, are structure driven, they're process driven. These are not random talents that you just randomly come up with. They're not random actions that you do. These are not random actions. These are structured, process driven activities that are scheduled and planned. This is what professionals do, by the way, in case you didn't know or in case you forgot. Structured and planned, process driven activities. These are on a schedule. They are not random. Let's recap today's class, which is how to keep moving. Again, this was sparked by me seeing 3 cruise boats sitting in the port of Miami. I never see 3 cruise boats sitting there at 6, 7 o'clock at night. And it had me thinking, why are these boats never sitting there? Let's go back to what we're talking about here today. Number 1, emphasis on result producing behaviors. What is the result production in your business? I'm talking about the bottom line result that you say that today was a win because I achieved this outcome. I'm not talking about a step towards the outcome, the outcome. If you're running a business, it usually means you made some type of sale, you made some money. Point number 2, finish one activity and then get on to the next. Again, the only way you can do this and have very little idle time between activities is if you have planned your actions. The better planned your actions are, the less idle time there is in between actions. And this is where we lose a lot of our time, is the in-between action number 1 and action number 2, because we don't have it planned out and know exactly what to do next. And the system is telling us what to do. Rather, we are trying to decide and figure what to do. And that's where we lose time. And number 3, consistent supporting behaviors. What are the behaviors that support you doing everything we talked about in point number 1 and number 2? This is all part of your system, all part of your structure, all part of your organization. And what we do in Work on Your Game University is we help you put the structure and system together so that you are no longer flying by the seat of your pants, going off of talent, or just thinking things up as you go along, which again is an amateur way of running a business. You can be very talented and even successful doing it that way until you're not. So what you want to do is put a structure and a system and a process in place, all based on a schedule. We'll help you do that. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. We'll look at the top 2% performers only. Work on your game. Dre, all